Folks will come in and say, so what is it? You're supposed to see some sort of recognizable reference or form in the piece. But in fact, abstract art is about sharing a visual experience with the audience. The artist has worked their way through building that visual experience, and when they arrive at something that's truly inspiring, then they want to share it with the audience. And the audience should just simply be open to looking and exploring that visual experience that they're having.
The Art Gallery of Swift Current is presenting an exhibition featuring the work of Saskatoon artist Robert Christie. This extensive catalog of work reflects Christie's creativity over a 12-year period. The exhibition title, The Red Studio, is derived from three key factors. This includes the individual art piece, The Red Studio, which Christie created in 2012. The influence of painter Henri Matisse and his work from 1911 entitled The Red Studio. And Robert's own studio, south of Saskatoon. Christie has worked in this studio space since 1985. Here is where he works, days on end, creating his artwork with dedication and precision, and where his work references his interest in urban nature. Color is a dynamic focal point of his work, an aspect which changes through each piece he masterfully creates.
I don't want predictability in any aspect of my painting, and so that includes color relationships. Some colors will work together rather easily, and whereas others won't. I have tended to, in many of my pictures, to exclude a range of colors, because when you put down, say for instance, a red beside a blue beside a green or an orange, you get a shape to a shape to a shape to a shape, and the viewer will look at those, will pick up and make, it becomes a composition of an interrelationship of shapes. So I have often eliminated that intentionally and gone monochromatic. So the two pictures that you see behind me, the big red and the yellow one, are essentially monochromatic pictures, of course. And what it does is that I think it forces the viewer to go beyond, they pick up on the color. Because there's no multiple colors to move their eye around, they're forced to deal with other issues. If they take the time, they will see a range of other contributing factors. One of them will, of course, be value, and that's the range of light to dark. So in the big red picture, you know, there's this multiple range, a variety of just slightly changing reds. Essentially the same red, but more water, for instance, in one stain than in another, and more pigment in another. So there's these subtle changes, and then on top of that, there's a surface characteristic.
Along with his distinctive use of color, Christie emphasizes the layering of various mediums, such as veneer and plywood, into a collage. A concept which evolved from a visit to Berlin and artwork by Joseph Beuys.
He's kind of like a cult figure for a lot of European artists. We came across this, what I call the remnants of a performance, where he had been up on a stage and had an assistant bring blackboards, set them on an easel, and Beuys would do a little scribble, and then he would just take the board and throw it down onto the stage. So there's this scattering of 50 to 100 blackboards, 4x5 or 4x6 blackboards layered on this stage. And when I came back, and a year later or thereabouts, I started to think, well, I can use that as a compositional device, if you will. And it dawned on me that I could save a lot of time and trouble and a lot of money on paint by just applying plywood down and covering it up, you know. So I get the 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch of thickness that I'm looking for overnight.
With an extensive career spanning several decades, Robert Christie has contributed to the world of art on a provincial, national, and international level. This includes his participation and coordination of the professional artist workshops at Emma Lake from the 1970s to the 1990s. These professional artist workshops, which gained an international reputation, were taught by a series of well-known modern artists and art critics from Canada, England, and New York. Christie's passion for the arts was also reflected through his ownership of Art Placement. Located in Saskatoon, Art Placement is one of the top private galleries in the province. And now, as he embarks on the next chapter in his career, Christie says he still finds inspiration by creating new and exciting pieces of art.
I still seek a sort of new adventure in painting every time I put paint to canvas. And every once in a while there is that, I'll say, the eureka moment when, you know, I've done something that is me, but it's outside of me. It's sort of like the stretch that I didn't think was there.
And as visitors to the Art Gallery of Swift Current view this latest exhibition by Robert Christie, gallery officials hope patrons gain a stronger appreciation of art and those who create it.
In the case of all abstract art, the artist is working with the visual components. They're playing with the color and the surface and the edge. In particular, Robert Christie, he's making paintings and he's focusing on the color, the surface, the edge, the dynamic of the composition and so forth. And for the audience, that experience is playful, dynamic, beautiful, and that really is the experience we want them to have.
The Red Studio by Robert Christie, showing at the Art Gallery of Swift Current, January 9th through February 27th, 2021.